Hello, my name is Beth Reynolds. I am the Iowa Beef Center Program Specialist, and today we're going to discuss controlling winter feed costs simply by utilizing a forage test. Testing forages can often seem tedious, and interpreting those lab results frustrating. However, there are some simple steps to ensure a good sample is sent to the lab and that the results provide useful information. First, take enough core samples with the hay probe to represent all of the bales in a lot or each cutting from a field. In general, we recommend around 15 to 20 cores per hay lot, depending on how many bales are in that lot. If sampling baleage, use a similar approach. For silages stored in bags, 8 to 10 core samples can be taken along each bag for analysis. For forages wrapped in plastic, remember to seal the holes after collection to keep the anaerobic environment maintained. For further guidance on sampling forage from other storage methods, contact your local extension beef specialist. Combine and mix cores from the same lot and send at least a half-gallon Ziploc bag worth of forage to the lab. If you're unable to ship right away, freezing the samples will best preserve the samples for lab analysis accuracy, especially for those higher moisture forages like silage. For dried hays, testing the forage as close to feed-out time as possible is preferred, but any test is better than no test. One advantage of testing early is that you can utilize the results to make a winter feed plan with more time to acquire other feedstuffs. For silages, less nutrient loss occurs during storage, so sampling at harvest is a common practice because of the convenience, especially if you're storing in a pile. When shipping a sample, help the lab and yourself keep samples straight by adequately labeling each with your name, date, forage type, field name, any other identifying characteristics. Then make sure you properly indicate what type of lab analysis needs done on that forage. If contacted in advance, many labs will send prepaid shipping materials with sampling bags and other forms. This is a really convenient way to make sure you provide all necessary information. Plus, there's the perk of free shipping. Here you can see an example of one of the forms a lab might provide. This is understandably a daunting list of test options, but there are a few things to keep in mind that will simplify your decision. There are two major types of analysis: NIR, which is near-infrared spectrometry, and wet chemistry. The general rule is that a wet chem test is more accurate, but for common feedstuffs like alfalfa hay, corn silage, NIRs are cheaper and they're still really accurate. Wet chemistry tests are advised for novel or uncommon feedstuffs. For cow-calf producers, the two most critical measures to formulate diets are protein and energy. Most test packages report protein as CP and energy as TDN, so those are crude protein and total digestible nutrients. Additionally, producers often test forages because the growing season conditions increase the likelihood for potentially toxic compounds like nitrates to accumulate. Make sure you test for anything that might be concerning, and if you have a consulting nutritionist, go ahead and ask them if they have other recommendations for you. Once your test results are in hand, diets can be adjusted so that the most cost-effective supplement is utilized, and it's only utilized when it's needed to meet the nutritional requirements. This is the point where the investment in a nutrient analysis begins to pay off. Remember, overfeeding and underfeeding the breeding herd both have financial consequences, and in a year like 2020, every penny counts. If you have other questions about sampling your forages, or if you need help interpreting lab analysis results, contact your local extension beef specialist.